First name
Sonya.
is Sanya.
Sonya. Shout out to Sonya, the lovely
Yep.
Sonya. But
Yeah.
Rick, let's jump into it, man. You reported some big news just after Christmas about Top Rank being sold to Endeavor, and apparently Tom Loeffler is gonna get involved. So could you talk more about that? Like, just break that whole
Well,
deal down.
what I've got from various sources, they've made a deal. It's in the due diligence stage, and I didn't say Tom Loeffler is going to be involved. I said to look for Tom Loeffler to be
Okay.
involved
Okay.
because he's real tight with Dana White, and I assume Dana White's going to be involved if Endeavor's buying it. That may not be 100% accurate because that I don't know. I don't know who the players are. But Endeavor's buying Top Rank, from what I understand. Everybody's denied it. But you got to remember something on this denial thing. They have to deny it because they have what they call a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, and you cannot divulge anything. If you say, yeah, we are buying it, then you've broken the NDA. You get sued by the other party. So they're not going to say, oh, yeah, we're buying it. He's right. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So just to let you, when you buy and sell anything on a corporate level, there's always an NDA.
Of
It's like
course.
it's part of the steam. You know what I mean? That's just what it is.
Okay. Is there any timetable on how long that whole sale could take?
No, those things take 3-4 months normally, and especially with contracts with ESPN, contracts with Sky TV. They have contracts with networks all over the world, and that, and also the one you call it rights, the library rights, because they have the film library that goes back to 1966. So they got a lot of content to sell, and there's a lot of content to look over because of that, in the form of the legalities of the legal contracts and the financials, both.
Okay. Okay. Um, do you think boxing going to Endeavor or Top Rank going to Endeavor would be like? Do you think it'd be a positive for boxing, or what's your take
I
on that?
don't know. It depends. It depends on what they're going to do. In other words, if Dana's going to come in and run it every day, which I doubt. I don't know. He only pays 18% out of the total income on the MMA shows, the UFC, those UFC shows. So I don't know, but that's not going to cut it in boxing. All these fighters are armed with attorneys. They get millions per fight, and Dana's not used to paying out that kind of money to athletes. So I don't know. It depends. It really, really, really depends. I can't. I think with the marketing push and all those PR people that they have, and they get PR people behind it, I think that it would be better. Yes, but I don't know from a fighter standpoint if it'll be better or not.
Okay. You mentioned the NDAs and the non-disclosure agreements, but I
Well,
did
that's
I
what it
did
is.
I did see that Dana White, though, like he's pretty much saying no. All the reports, he says, your reports are not accurate. It's bullshit, pretty much.
He can say that, but I don't even know if he's involved. Maybe Endeavor is just negotiating without him because Bob hates Dana supposedly, and Dana hates Bob.
Yeah,
So that may not be the best thing either. So maybe Endeavor's buying it, and then they'll bring Dana in later on. Who knows? I don't know that.
yeah, yeah.
I don't
There's a
know. All
from
I
the
know is that I was told from two attorneys that they're in the stages of due diligence, which means already they have a contract, and it's just a matter of, does everything check out now?
yeah from the way it sounds, it just sounds like there's a ton of moving pieces. So
Oh yeah, absolutely. These deals always have a ton of moving pieces. When you talk
yeah,
about millions of dollars, you're talking about a film library that dates to 1966.
a lot of
You're talking
rights
about
and stuff like that.
you talk about an owner that's 92 and his stepson is 55, approximately 53, 5, 6, 7. So of course, there's a lot of moving pieces.
Of
Of
course.
course.
We had a question for you, Rick. Pitbull Boxing asks, what could Endeavor and Dana do different in relation to how Top Rank is run now? And would it be smart to focus on expanding globally more?
Um, they're already big globally now. Boxing's different than MMA. it's a completely different sport, and people don't get that. Where boxing, the fighters just make so much more, and you can't just put on a show and expect to make money like you do MMA, because you're only paying the fighters out 18% based on that the antitrust lawsuit, that they're only paying out 18% to the fighters, where boxing pays out basically 80 about 82 83%. So it's
Yeah.
a completely different financial dynamics. So it's a little harder to make money on boxing on an event than it would be MMA.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. Fair enough. Good information there, Rick. One of the viewers messaged me this question to ask you earlier in the day today. My friend Hyro, he said, he wanted me to ask you, Rick, do you think we could see HBO boxing on Max, since it is now owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, which are streaming live sports? They also own TNT Sports.
We could see it. We could see the fights from England on a Saturday here be beamed over, but I don't see HBO going in the box. In other words, like what Peacock is doing with Sky, and Peacock is owned by Comcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're taking the fights from England on Sky and they're beaming them over here on Peacock on the streaming. Well, that could happen definitely with HBO on Max. There's not a question about that. It could happen. I'm not saying, when I say not a question, it's going to happen. I'm saying not a question. It could happen, but they're not going to. They're not the boxing traditionally that was on HBO on Saturday night. That was multi-million-dollar fights with production costing $500,000-600,000 back then. That ain't ever happening again. You can forget that. Could they beam those fights over? Yes, they could. But they're going to be fights based in England. They might be fights based in Saudi Arabia. Something that, who knows where they're going to be based, but they won't originate from the United States. That's for sure.
Okay. And then I guess the last question I'd ask about, I guess from the TV programming side of things, we had the recent news of PBC on Amazon Prime now, that they had a whole deal. I've seen a couple of your tweets about it. Do you think they'll get like a second network involved with PBC? Because now,
I don't. You're asking me if it's an exclusive. You'd be asking me if it's an exclusive deal. I don't know that. Mm-hmm. Would they go to a second network on a feeder? I don't know. I really don't know. It's just, they're out of money. They're out of big money to run the operation. Amazon's not coming up with any money. And let's see if Spence and Crawford actually happens. Where's the money coming from? You know what I'm saying? I mean, where are these big fights? Where's the money coming from? I mean, they're going to depend on pay-per-view and the gate, and I don't think it's there. Amazon is going to be a platform, distribution point, and a marketing thing. They're not coming up with any money. They have no risk at all. Supposedly, even Heyman's paying for the production, which I believe is correct.
Okay.
So he took this deal on because he was desperate to stay in business, and also because of the fact that he felt that with the hook of Amazon being such a big name, he could come up with a big investor, like a Whitehall Reed or some big individual, and it's so far fallen on deaf ears.
Yeah, so like he's trying to get like another. You think he's trying to get like another hedge fund situation, like with
somebody. And I'm not saying it would be a hedge fund because they all know each other and they're all smart enough to check him out. I don't know if anybody, even individual, come up. His name is mud. I mean, his reputation is mud. I mean, he's gone through 11 networks in 8 years. It's not too good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
but Rick, we had the fight in Japan recently with Inoue and Tapalis. What did you make of the Monster's performance in that fight? And is he your pound number one right now? Because there's a lot of debate about that in boxing.
No, Crawford still is, and I'll explain why in a moment.
Okay.
But I think the guy's a great fighter, all-time great, 15, 18, 22 pounder, no question about it. Just a great fighter. I mean, he's blowing guys out of there like Wilfredo Gomez blew guys out of there back when he was a 22-pound champ back in the 70s. I mean, just blowing guys right out. The reason why I have Crawford number one is you can't blame the fighter for only fighting once a year under the circumstances of the current market conditions. Depends on who your promoter is. It depends how popular you are. And he carries the whole country. Okay. Crawford can carry Omaha, but the other guys won't fight in Omaha. So it's not a fair comparison. But as a fighter, the biggest win of the year by any fighter was Crawford blowing out Spence and doing it dramatically. And dynamically, may I add. Okay. And he changed he took a whole subculture of fans and fucked them up mentally, where they're not even going. A lot of them owe thousands on the internet to people. They stiff people on bets. A lot of them dropped their YouTube channels. A lot of them, they were in hiding for 3 months. He
put people out of business.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Basically. And I just think that was so big. And I'm going to tell you what also he did. And I want you to think about this. Wilder gets wiped out twice by Fury, lost the first fight, but they called it a draw, but he wiped out in the last two, face planted. Fulton goes over there, gets destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
The Palace is a PBC fighter, okay, not a Heyman fighter, but a PBC.
Sean Gibbons.
Yeah, Sean Gibbons, right. That's a situation where another one, and now Spence gets wiped out. They're all getting wiped out. Charlo bitches up against Canelo, didn't even go for it, never tried. This was the final straw that made PBC minor league boxing. It just did. There's nothing major league about PBC. It's minor league shit, and they prove it every time their fighters step up and they fight a top ranked fighter. Bob Arum is now Al Haim is now 4 wins and 23 losses against Bob Arum fighters. I mean, the list goes on and on.
You keep you had that stat. Like, I'm still waiting for that list, man. I want to see that list of the all the fighters.
Top rank got the list. Top rank.
Could I get it from like a Brad Goodman or something like that? Like, do you know
Brad or Evan Korn or Brad?
Okay.
One of them guys got it.
Perfect.
Okay,
I'm gonna contact one of them for that list.
Yeah, try Evan first about that. It's true. It started with Gary Russell versus
Lomachenko.
Yes, that was really when it first started, and that was what 9 years ago now, probably. So it happens all the time. It's basically what's going on.
Okay.
He had won so few fights. Mayweather over Pacquiao was a Heyman fight that won. An 8-rounder, which was Fondora, I believe it was Fondora versus Daniel Lewis, was an 8-rounder. They won on one of the Fury undercards.
Yeah, that was the Fury Wilder.
Yeah, and then what's his name? Frank Sanchez beat Effie Ajaba. Yep. Yeah, and I don't remember what the other one, but there's like 4. It's 4 and 23. Like I said, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that list from Evan. I want to see that list, but
I believe Evan has it. Brad, they somebody over there's got it. So
okay,
fire away.
All right, Hyros asks you, Rick. He says, "What about Golden Boy though? They lose PBC fighters all the time. Hector Garcia versus Roger Gutierrez, Tank versus Ryan.
Which ones now?"
He's saying like, what about Golden Boy versus PBC? Because they had Hector Garcia versus was it Roger Gutierrez?
Yeah, they're 50-50.
That's more competitive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we got a question from the boxing scholar, Rick. He wants to know from you. He says, "Why isn't Rick the main guy in boxing since he's so brilliant and predicting pay-per-view numbers before the fight happens?"
What happened? What is he saying?
He said,
Why
"Why
isn't Rick?
isn't Rick the main guy in boxing since he's so
I,
brilliant in predicting pay-per-view numbers before the fights happen?"
um, people pay me for my services. I'm happy that they do. You know. Hold on, my wife's calling me. What is it, Dal? Dal? What? I can't see you. It's dark. Hold on. Hold on.
All right.
I can't see you. Anyways, yeah. I mean, you know, everybody pays him for his services. I'm happy for that. I don't have to be the main anything. You know, pay me. I got 48 clients. I'm happy with that.
Got
You
you.
know,
Got you. You're gonna be in Vegas this weekend for the Virgil Ortiz fight. I wanted to pick your like, first of all, did you book like did you have any part in making the fight like happen or like maybe getting the
yeah.
opponent?
I brought Lawson to Golden Boy back last spring, and he won against a guy, I don't know, 16-0, 16-1. He won a decision, and now it parlayed this into this fight here. So I brought him to him, and you know, it's their fighter, but I brokered the deal, and I also brokered a deal for the guy fighting Aro Barbosa.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the minute I heard Lawson, first of all, I didn't even know Lawson was still boxing because the last time I heard about Frederick Lawson was when PBC first